The holidays start here at Kroger with a variety of options to celebrate traditions old and new. You could do a classic herb-roasted turkey or spice it up and make turkey tacos. Serve up a go-to shrimp cocktail or use Simple Truth wild-caught shrimp for your first Cajun risotto. Make creamy mac and cheese or a spinach artichoke fondue from our selection of Murray's cheese. No matter how you shop, Kroger has all the freshest ingredients to embrace all your holiday traditions. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
This year, set a self-improvement goal, like socially dominating your friends with your superior streaming knowledge. Catch up on the hits you missed with Prime Video, from Reacher to Taylor Swift The Eras Tour extended version, and The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Watch everything included on Prime. Rent or buy new releases. Add on hundreds of streamers. One app, one password. Prime Video. Find your happy place. Restrictions apply. Prime membership not required to rent or buy. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. And welcome to a Christmas episode of Stat Me Up for Media Matters for Anfield Index. So, ladies and gents, we're going to start this pod like we're starting a lot of them at the moment. And the simple message is Liverpool, top of the league. And as ever on a Stat Me Up, I am delighted to be joined by the renowned and the respected Ben Bocsak. Ben, how are we?
Yeah, all good. Hope everyone had a great Christmas, and obviously can't complain right now with Liverpool being top of the league.
Indeed. Yeah, we do hope everyone had a good Christmas, even if you don't celebrate it. Goodwill to all men and all that, etc. So, yeah, I mean, Ben, there's so many positives. There's so many things to talk through. We're going to walk through the Burnley game as normal. We've got Newcastle on New Year's Day, so we'll be talking about the stats around that. It almost seems a big game, a historical game that way as well. We've got a few people departing for a few different cups, and it's not for a bit of New Year's sunshine, as most of us would hope to do, unfortunately. And we'll talk about the big talking points that are kicking around. So we'll talk about the talking. Probably could have used better English, but we're going to go with that anyway. So, Burnley, Ben, I mean, 2-0, an early goal, and a late goal, a Darwin strike and a Jota one very late on. There's a heck of a lot that happened as well in between all that. But overall, when you're looking back now in the cold light of day, honest thoughts on the performance?
I mean, I thought it was a good performance. You're not expected to win by a lot of goals away from home. But it could have been a lot more comfortable if certain decisions went Liverpool's way as well. I think that's important to highlight. But yeah, I think away, the most important thing is that you get the 3 points. I wouldn't worry too much about the performance, even if we're looking at, the top Liverpool sides over the last few years. They've all sort of struggled to get points or had to grind out results away from home, getting a lot of late goals and stuff like that. One memorable moment is probably Ragnar Klavan's goal at Burnley.
Yeah.
But I remember when Liverpool were, I think, 2-1 down away to Aston Villa and came back with just a few minutes to go and won 3-2. So, yeah, away from home, it's never going to be the most perfect performance, but what makes the great sides is the fact that they get the 3 points and they get the victory.
Yeah, absolutely. Which all that matters. Considering we've been talking about recent times on this pod that we've not played well and won, we played okay, didn't we, in parts? Like you said, the VAR, and we'll try not to talk about Messrs Tierney and Hooper too much, but there you go in that regard. So this is an interesting one. Man of the match, because it was on Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime gave it to Virgil van Dijk. The sponsors, Carlsberg for Liverpool FC, gave it to Darwin Núñez. Who was the man of the match for you, and what stats have we got to go with it as well?
I think it's a close call for me between Van Dijk and João Kwanzaa. I think Kwanzaa won 9 aerial duels or something crazy like that in the game, and he also completed the most passes with 98, and was just really composed. And I thought there were a few moments Burnley looked to get in behind, and he did really well, really mature for his age, and dealt with those situations well. But I think overall, in terms of Liverpool keeping their solidity, Virgil van Dijk was the key, really. He won all of his duels, was only second to Kwanzaa in completed passes with 97, so just one behind Kwanzaa. And I think, for me, he deserved the man of the match from Amazon Prime. I thought it was a very, very composed performance from him, almost vintage Virgil van Dijk in that sense. And it's great to see him in this kind of form, because when he's in this kind of form, Liverpool look really difficult to beat.
Yeah, and I even did my research for you, Ben. I saw that, the Van Dijk stats, that, as you say, he won all his aerial duels. And at this stage of the season, I mean, to be recording an aerial duel success of around 82% is pretty outstanding when you look at historically as well. So, yeah, the defence are doing their bit more than anything at the moment. Now, we both love this man, Diogo Jota. He's back. Finally, it seems we've got someone almost who can finish a little bit at times, but I know you did a tweet that went viral, so just share that with us. And what are we looking at from Jota's stats so far this season, even with the injury break that he's had?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously there was that period when he almost went a year without scoring a goal. But since then, he's come back. I think he scored 2 against Leeds United, and he's been prolific ever since. This season in particular. So I did the tweet that you're referring to, and it was about how many goals Liverpool players are averaging per minute this season, and Diogo Jota comes out on top with 103. So a goal for every 103 minutes, which is better than Mohamed Salah, who I think is in second place with a goal every 122 minutes. So again, Jota's prolificness, and it's highlighted how much Liverpool have missed him in terms of his ability to score goals. He comes out on clutch a lot of the times for Liverpool, and I think, when we're talking about the front three and them struggling recently, maybe Jota wasn't necessarily in the conversation, but I think that goal against Burnley showed just how much Liverpool have missed him.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting one, and we will talk about it later because, as you say, when we talk about the front three, we don't really include Mo Salah's recent struggles, but it has shone a light recently, hasn't it, on Diaz, Gakpo and Núñez. So I do want to talk about them in a bit. And probably the one thing I want to finish on with Burnley is Jarell Quansah. I mean, you said there, 98 completed passes. I mean, the thing about now Jarell Quansah is, considering he's only 20 years old, we're almost just coming to expect it from this kid, aren't we? It's not like, you ease him in. And obviously there's a danger to that as well. But his stats for the season, based on what you're saying, and even for this game, this kid's really shining, isn't he, at the moment?
Yeah, he is. I think probably not. Maybe even Klopp himself didn't expect him to have such a composed and brilliant start. But every game, it seems to just get better and better. And I think his composure on the ball is something that is key. I was looking at stats, and he's actually averaged per 90 minutes the most touches out of any Liverpool player.
Wow.
So just how involved he is, most of the time when a young player, particularly a young defender, comes into the team, they're not likely to be involved as much as he is. They'll try and, stay away from the ball almost because, there's a bit of fear, a bit of panic about making mistakes. But with Quansah, it's the opposite of that. He wants the ball as much as possible. And I think that's highlighted by the fact as well that in his last 8 starts, he's completed the most passes 7 times. We've spoken about this already. But, the only time he didn't complete out of his last 8 starts, the most passes was against Crystal Palace when he was subbed off early. And in that game, while he was on the pitch, he still completed the most passes as well. So yeah, I think everything about him is really positive. I would like to see him maybe be a bit more effective in his passing sometimes, it's to be expected from a young player, but he does try to play it safe. And that's why when it comes to sort of progressive passes or passes into the final third, he doesn't rank as highly, particularly when you're looking at how many passes he's completing for 90. But I think that's something, he can work on. Aerial duels was again something that I thought, he needs to improve on. But after Burnley and winning 9 aerial duels, I think you can see the improvement already. So yeah, game by game, he's getting better and better. And it's really, really encouraging for Liverpool to see, particularly because, this was a position where Liverpool was struggling. But now with Kwanzaa showing he can play on the left and he can play on the right side of the back four, which is again something that I think maybe people don't really highlight as much, but the fact that he's been effective in both roles is also really positive.
Yeah, it's like you say, you still just forget he's 20. We almost count him as such an important part overall of the squad now. It is unreal. And yeah, Burnley beaten, top of the league. So that was a good finish to 2023. And to start 2024, the 1st of Jan, the evening kickoff, 8 o'clock, Newcastle will visit Anfield. Now, I might be wrong on this. I know you're going to hit us up with some stats, Ben. This almost feels like the game where there's drama. You go to the historic 4-3s. You go to even last season when we were terrible. You go to if people remember it, the first time there was sort of the 8 minutes added time, Carvalho. It always feels like there's big moments, there's big events in this. I mean, do the stats tell us that Liverpool-Newcastle is a must-watch, even for any neutral, basically?
Yeah, I mean, especially in terms of goals, Newcastle have scored the second most goals, Liverpool with 37. Liverpool are sort of the joint third with 36. So, yeah, you're expecting a lot of entertainment. I think Newcastle have also averaged the highest XG in the Premier League with 38.6. So, they are a team who will create chances, and I think we saw that in their last game against Nottingham Forest when they created a lot of chances but just couldn't finish them. Very similar story in that sense to sort of Liverpool, at times this season when Liverpool has created a lot of chances as well but just couldn't put them away. But yeah, in terms of that, the fact that Newcastle have lost their last 5 games, so they lost 5 of their last 7 games. That's what I mean, which is, again, pointing to the fact that, there could be drama, there could be entertainment. Obviously, they'll be determined to bounce back, start 2024 and on the high. With Liverpool, the incentive is to, keep being at the top of the table as well. Liverpool do have, Anfield in their favour, that this is a home game.
Yeah.
Newcastle haven't won there since 1995, when, interestingly, in that game, there was a player for Newcastle who now has a son playing for Liverpool. If you can guess that, I'll be impressed.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. A Newcastle player has got a son who plays for Liverpool, and now I'm desperately scouring through anyone I think has got a famous football dad, and I'm pretty sure it's not a Darwin Núñez, Luis Diaz, or anyone like that. So you're gonna have to help me out with this one, Ben. Who are we talking?
So it's Lee Clark, and obviously his son.
Oh, Bobby Clark. Yeah, of course. There's a connection there.
Yeah, that kind of shows you how long ago it was that Newcastle have actually managed to get 3 points at Anfield. But even just in terms of recently, you'll have to go back to 2015 for any sort of Newcastle win in this fixture. Liverpool have won, out of the last 10, Liverpool have won 8 and drawn twice against Newcastle. So they tend to have a pretty good record. Hasn't been high scoring games recently, 2-0, 2-1, those kind of results. But I think I'm expecting an entertaining game. I'm kind of expecting Newcastle to sort of try and counter-attack Liverpool, which can be tricky at times. But, this being Salah's last game, Endo's last game. I'm expecting all of those to step up, and just finally to leave with a good stat as well. Out of all the English teams, Darwin Núñez has scored the most goals against Newcastle with 3 goals in 2 games, and overall he's played just 72 minutes against them. So 3 goals in that amount of time is not bad.
Yeah, not at all. I was going to ask you because naturally we've had a bit of a rest since that Burnley game. I mean, Jurgen Klopp said he's given the boys a few days off. Lineup-wise, I mean, you name-checked Endo and Salah there before they go off to the Pacific Cup and AFCON. So, and you mentioned, obviously, the ghost of Darwin Núñez, which I'm sure will haunt Geordies everywhere. Are you expecting those 3 to be in the lineup, and how do you see us setting up for this one?
Oh, bummer. The holidays are over. But, yay, your weird relatives left. But no more presents. But, yay, you have your freedom again. But there are no more desserts. But there's also no more holiday music, huh? The new year is full of ups and downs. But however you're feeling, you can always be happy with all the content on Prime Video. Catch the new season of Reacher, included with Prime.
Why'd you hit him so hard?
I don't hit soft.
Rent or buy new releases like The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. You can even add on hundreds of streamers, all in one app with one password. No bummers here, just lots of yay. Prime Video, find your happy place. Restrictions apply. Prime membership not required to rent or buy. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
Tired of ads interrupting your favorite show? Good news. Ad-free listening on Amazon Music is included with your Prime membership. Download the Amazon Music app or visit Amazon.com/ad-free sports. That's Amazon.com/ad-free sports to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads. Enjoy thousands of Acast shows ad-free for Prime members. Some shows may have ads.
Yeah, I think given the fact that there was a bit of a gap between this game and the Boxing Day fixture, I think it's going to be pretty similar to the one that started against Burnley, maybe with a few exceptions. But I think, overall, potentially Dominic Szoboszlai could come back into the side. Gravenberch might drop out, but overall, I think I'm not expecting a lot of changes.
Yeah, I could well imagine. It almost feels, doesn't it, like strongest lineup this, get it won for the cup start. So, yeah, it does feel a massive game again. And it's almost a downer moment when we're saying this, but we've got to talk about it. Endo and Salah, as we say, are departing. I mean, Endo especially, we could talk about Mo Salah till the cows come home. We know a lot of his stats, but we will get into that. But Endo especially, is it what's been a huge week? He's been prominent there, hasn't he, against Arsenal, against West Ham, and against, going back, even United. He was one of our better performers, even the best, you could argue that. Are there any sort of key stats? Because I know you've been a big shouter or a big champion of Endo. Are there any sort of key stats you'd sort of call out for him, even against Burnley or in recent times? And I know you could wax lyrical about Mo Salah at the same time as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think the one that was interesting is the fact that he hasn't lost a game for Liverpool that he started in the Premier League.
Nice.
That was going viral, I think, over the last few days on social media. And I think that kind of shows you his importance. But overall, I think in the last few games, what stood out for me is his sort of ability on the ball, as well as his reading of the game. And in the last 3 games alone, he's created 6 chances. So that's around 2 per game, which is quite good for a holding midfielder. I was looking at sort of his other stats as well. Out of midfielders, he's averaged the most progressive passes into the final third for Liverpool. So again, he's making those key passes, progressing the ball into dangerous territories. I think that's something that Fabinho was really good at, and now Endo is doing really well as well. And I think because of that, you see a better balance in midfield, Liverpool playing better overall and getting more victories and not losing as well. But as well, in terms of his reading of the game, only Virgil van Dijk has averaged more interceptions for 90 for Liverpool in all competitions. Van Dijk's on 1.44 interceptions per 90 and Endo is on 1.41. So marginally better. Van Dijk is marginally better, sorry. But Endo is not far behind. And I think those kind of stats obviously show just how important he's been on and off the ball for Liverpool.
Yeah, no doubts about it. I mean, in a way, the stats are amazing, but you've almost made me feel worse that he's departed now, Ben, as well, just as he's come into form. I mean, with the two that are going, the natural question people are going to be, and people will have already rationalised it in their mind or had their thoughts of who's going to be almost, and maybe this is the wrong word, but the beneficiaries, the ones who are going to step up, so to speak, in Salah and Endo's absence. Endo, naturally, people are going to look at McAllister coming back to the six and where he's played most of the season, and, that will sort of correlate. Salah, how do you see that forward line adjusting and adapting specifically in there?
I mean, it's going to be difficult. I think not just in terms of, goals scored, but in terms of the creative aspects of Salah, because I think that often goes unnoticed, but he's created the most big chances in the Premier League out of anyone with 14. He has the joint most assists with 7. For Liverpool, he has the second most shot creating actions with 88 behind Alexander-Arnold, and the second most key passes as well with 46, again behind Alexander-Arnold. So I think he's been really important in that creative side of the game. He's also has the most carries into the box with 40, and the second behind him is Darwin Núñez with 20 for Liverpool.
Wow.
So, just in terms of his offensive output, it's going to be difficult to replace. But I think if we're looking at players who could potentially do it, Harvey Elliott, I think, is probably the best bet for me, just because he's left-footed. He's quite dynamic when he's on the ball. I know he's not got the most speed about him, but when he's on the ball, he's actually got a bit of pace. He can be quite fast. And in terms of his underlying numbers as well, he's creating regularly, similarly to Salah. And he's a goal threat as well. If we're looking at who are the players who are averaging the most shots for Liverpool in all competition, Salah is second with 3.32. Only Darwin Núñez, unsurprisingly, has more than him.
Yeah.
But behind Salah is Diogo Jota in third place with 3.30. And then in fourth place is Harvey Elliott with 3.26. Obviously, a lot of those shots are coming from outside the box. They're quite risky shots, as you would say. So he's only got a 30% shot on target rate or around that. And that's quite poor. But if we're looking at where he's taking his shots from outside the box and stuff like that, it's not the worst sort of rate. And if he's being pushed further up the pitch into more of a Salah role, he might have an opportunity to take shots closer to goal and have more chances of scoring from them as well. But overall, I think Elliott is probably the best bet, moving him into that right wing role. This could have been a good opportunity for Ben Bocsak, but unfortunately, he's got that injury.
Yeah.
I think obviously we've seen Jota play on the right hand side as well, so that's another option. I'm personally not that convinced by Jota on the right. I think he's a lot more effective in the middle or on the left, but it does give Klopp more options, and I think overall, Jota coming back is going to be a big influence for the other strikers as well. It might kick them up the backside a little bit and, motivate them to improve their form, because I think what we saw in the last 8 games or the last month when Jota wasn't available is maybe a bit of complacency from the attackers because Liverpool didn't have as many options. And that meant, you don't have to perform as well because, you're almost guaranteed to play because of the injuries and the players unavailable.
Yeah, it's true. It's interesting, isn't it? Because there's obviously 5 senior forwards, not including Harvey Elliott in that mix, and it would make sense that he would be the one that steps up. I mean, they all kind of contribute. Well, not really. how's best to put this? They all contributed the other night. Diaz, Gakpo, Nunes. That's what we're talking about. However, we have got sort of question marks. It's understandable certain fans will have question marks against them, as you alluded to over the last few games, be that complacency, be that whatever, just out of form. It's not really clicked, especially for a few of them. Do you think that sort of could be the catalyst, Diogo Jota coming back, but also the Burnley game? Is the hope, looking at the stats, that could be a kick on and something more for you?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta hope this is the catalyst. Like you mentioned, they were all involved in the goals, which is really encouraging to see. I think that was the first time in a while they were all involved in goals in a game. So, I mean, if we're looking at Diaz, that was his first goal contribution in his last 8 games for Liverpool. Gakpo was his second, and Nunez, it was his third. So, those are really poor stats for an attacker. And I think now, this being the Newcastle game, Newcastle having one of the best defensive records in the league, obviously it's going to be difficult. But I think the fact that Liverpool the fact that all these attackers managed to get a goal contribution, and I think it can be some sort of catalyst. Their underlying numbers are pretty good, particularly Nunez. He's taken so many shots. He's averaging such a high XG. But Gakpo as well, he's getting into the box a lot. Okay, he's maybe not having the most touches in the game, not having the most influence, but he's still a goal threat. And Diaz is maybe the only one who doesn't have that goal threat. But, I think overall, for an attacker, sometimes all you need is one assist, one goal, and that will give you confidence. We've seen that with Nunez recently, when, he got a goal contribution and suddenly he went on a really good run and he was feeling really confident. That's normally happened when he's been on international duty and he scored a few goals there, and he's come back to Liverpool firing. Obviously after the last international break, that didn't quite happen, but hopefully that goal, which was a really good finish, will give him the confidence and will help him sort of begin anew and go on another great run for Liverpool. Because I think as well, the opportunity for a striker to become the main man without Salah there, that would motivate me. And I think Nunez is probably the prime candidate for that.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, it has been a pretty barren run, and he's looked, the lack of confidence has been evident, but we still can't forget with Darwin Núñez. I mean, 8 goals and 8 assists. I mean, pretty much halfway through the season as well. So those are really decent numbers, but like you said, does tend to be a bit more streaky as we've seen. So hopefully it's a kick on from there. And I suppose going to the other end of the pitch, I mean, we've talked about Virgil and how good his stats have been in recent times, and throughout the season, he's been unbelievable. Joe Gomez, I mean, the Liverpool Swiss Army knife, centre-back, right-back, and now left-back, as Jurgen Klopp said. We've got to wrap him in cotton wool, essentially. I mean, do the stats back up just how good a lot of us feel Joe Gomez and how essential he's been to us at times this season as well?
Absolutely. I think Gomez is on the kind of form that if I was Gareth Southgate, I would make him a certainty in the next England squad. For Liverpool, he's won the most tackles in all competitions. He's also averaged the most tackles and interceptions, but 90 with 4.57. Wow. But I think one of the key stats for me, which I wanted to highlight, because you mentioned already, Virgil van Dijk has the best sort of aerial duel percentage in the Premier League with around 82%. Joe Gomez actually has the second best in the Premier League out of all players with 79.2%. So, the fact that I think that's quite impressive, especially because I remember years ago when Michael Owen said that he was too short to be a centre-back at 6'2", mind you. So, and it was Michael Owen, of course, who doesn't know a lot when it comes to a lot of things, in particular to do with football. But I think, overall, all the defensive numbers are really encouraging. Now that he's playing left back and obviously he's right-footed, we're seeing a lot of shots from him as well, which is interesting. I think we haven't seen that from Gomez in a while. He's always, when he's played right back, he's always putting the crosses in, but now he can cut onto his right foot and get a few shots on. And it's giving me hope that we will finally see that first Joe Gomez Liverpool goal. He's come close a few times now, actually, in the last few games. But yeah, I mean, for a defender, the most important stats are the defensive numbers. And he is up there with some of the best in the Premier League right now. And that's why I think if I was Southgate, it's a no-brainer for me. I'm calling him up to the England squad in March. And if he keeps this going, he would be in the Euros as well. But for Liverpool, I think the longer he doesn't get caught up, the better it is, because, he gets a better rest, a longer rest, and you minimise the risk of injuries as well.
Yeah, too right. Let's hope Gareth Southgate keeps him in splendid isolation, so to speak, and doesn't quite realise what he's got on his hands. And yeah, even like you say, those numbers are incredible, especially the aerial part. And as we've seen, even going forward, he's getting so close. That one across just sort of bent round the post against Arsenal. We thought he was in for a second, but yeah, he is having an impact in all areas. So it is right, he is getting his flowers there, Joe Gomez. So, ladies and gents, all it really leaves me to say, that was the final Stat Me Up of 2023. So thank you for all your likes. Thank you for all the comments that come in, all the things that we do try and give you the key stats, bring a bit of insight and analysis from the recent games. Most importantly, the final thing to say, because I'm just the host, but the main man himself, Ben, thank you very much for your time and your insight in 2023, mate. It's been much appreciated.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to 2024 and hopefully, more success on the way for Liverpool.
Indeed. And funnily enough, we're unbeaten since we've started doing these. We've been unbeaten for a while, true, but we're just going to take that anyway. So, ladies and gents, we hope you've enjoyed your Christmas. We hope you enjoy your New Year, and we hope you enjoy Liverpool and 2024. So, without further ado, that was the final Stat Me Up for Anfield Index.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at anfieldindex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
If you've been hurt by a truck, you can call Colombo Law 24/7 and we'll be there to make sure you're taken care of. When someone is hurt by a truck, Colombo Law is the law firm people call to get answers. Hurt by a truck? Call Colombo Law.